Hey classmates, Pat Swanson here, just responding on week 2, and I'll begin by looking at Augustine a little bit and just why he was so adamant, even to the point of violence, towards the Dantonist perspective. And I'll just reference on page 345 here, out of Plantinga, just this one line where it says, Augustine took the Dantonists to task, claiming that they were locating the identity and holiness of the church in the wrong place, in sinful human beings rather than in the sinless one, Jesus Christ. And so pretty clearly, Augustine is a little bent out of shape that this idea the Dantonists have, that if a bishop lapses, that there needs to be a redo of all baptisms that guy had done. And it's, from Augustine's perspective, and actually it kind of goes into the last question in the discussion post here too, probably the one that my church community holds to a little bit, is it just makes it so much about the person in that regard, of who baptized who, and as if it really is kind of caught up in a personality or a person, as opposed to what baptism signifies, and that's being baptized into the death and the life, the death, the burial, and the resurrection, the new life of Christ. And then from the Dantonist perspective, why were they willing to die for their cause? And I think in some right sense, this idea that being the church matters, that being holy matters, that for those that are in a position of administering baptism, that they should be the ones who are actually living this out. So what I want to look at briefly is one last little quote here, and this is where I would kind of disagree, and again where I think there's a bit of a takeaway for those of us today, where I think Augustine goes just a little over the top here, and it's in this idea of using fear and pain and suffering. This is on page 98, and here's a quote: "Unless by pain and suffering thou art taught, thou canst not guide thyself in aught." And I think that becomes a bit of what we're wrestling with now, is there a role where you can use somehow manipulation or coercion or, I don't know, I think everyone's kind of obviously against violence, but some level of kind of fear in inducing people to elicit a response to the gospel, or and so I think I'd be opposed to those things. And that's where I do think Augustine kind of oversteps. And yeah, I think that's what's important for us today, is to kind of wrestle and grapple with that. But to not make it about a personality or a person, to keep focused on it being the fact that it is Jesus, and at the same time to obviously not discredit purity of our faith and holiness, but I don't think it requires that we have to use modes that are eliciting fear or pain or suffering. So, all right, looking forward to hearing your guys' thoughts too. Thanks.